And call the meeting to order here at 7:02. And first step is roll call.
Monica Allers,
Scott Jensen,
Harlow Burnwald, Rita Bernhardt,
Marty Marquis.
okay. Does anybody have any comments about the minutes from March 13th? All right, hearing none, I will accept a motion to approve. Anyone?
I'll make.
I
the-
approve.
Go ahead. I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay.
As presented.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor of approving the March 13th, 2025 meeting minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Next up is citizen input. This is for any citizens that want to offer input on any items not on the agenda tonight. Is there anybody that would like to speak? Okay, thank you. Next up is new business. And item 5.1, election of planning commission chair and vice chair. So we need to have both of these. I think first we'll start accepting nominations.
I nominate Scott Jensen to continue as the chair of the planning commission.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. Anybody else interested in being chair? All right. I'm going to recuse myself. But all those in favor of me continuing as chair, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Thank you very much for your trust. Next up is vice chair. Who wants this one?
I'll keep it.
Okay. Anybody else interested? All right.
Do you want a motion?
No, we can just vote, but
Oh, okay.
make sure to recuse yourself before we vote.
Oh, I recused myself.
Okay. All those in favor of Harlow continuing as vice chair?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, great. Next up, we have CPMA 1-25, ZC 1-25, SDR 1-25, SLDP 1-25, 2-25, and 3-25, Olsted Self-Storage. Adam Olsted has requested approval of a consolidated application for comprehensive plan map amendments to redesignate the subject site from industrial to commercial on the comprehensive plan map, zone change to rezone the subject site from light industrial to expanded commercial, site development review to allow for construction of a mini storage facility with a caretaker dwelling, as well as improvements to various site amenities, and 3 sensitive land developments permits to allow for certain components of this development proposal to partially occur in the regulated floodplain, wetlands, and fish and riparian corridor overlay. The site is located at 53026 Northwest Thornton Drive, northwest of the Scappoose-Vernonia Highway and Columbia River Highway intersection, on the property described as Columbia County Assessor Map number 3201-C0-02701. All right. I am calling this public hearing to order to consider an application for a comprehensive plan map amendment, zone change, site development review, and sensitive lands development permits for development activities in the regulated floodplain, wetlands, and fish and riparian corridor overlay. The procedure of this hearing will follow a strict format. Testimony and evidence must address the criteria that apply to the decision as described in the staff report. or to the criteria the person testifying believes to apply to the decision. Persons may speak only after being recognized by the chair and must come forward to the microphone and state their name and city for the record. Only testimony that is relevant to the application will be considered. Immaterial or repetitious testimony will not be allowed, and time limits will be imposed if testimony is irrelevant or repetitious. The failure to raise and clarify an issue to afford all parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on the issue. The Planning Commission will conduct this hearing in a quasi-judicial capacity. In other words, like a court trial where the Planning Commission serves as finders of fact. There should be no audience demonstration or other conduct which would disrupt the hearing. The Planning Commission will make a recommendation to City Council on this application. Does any Planning Commission member wish to declare any ex parte contacts or conflicts of interest regarding this matter?
No.
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 Okay. Does any party wish to challenge any commissioner's impartiality or legal capacity to participate in this matter?
No.
Okay, seeing none. The order of the hearing will be the staff report, then the applicant's presentation, then other proponents, then opponents, then rebuttal by the applicant, then a staff response. Thereafter, the hearing will be closed for consideration of the matter by the commission. Staff report, I believe, is up next.
Great, thank you, Chair. It's good to be with you all again after a couple months off. Thank you also for taking a look at the materials. There's a lot in this packet, a lot of different applications, so really appreciate the work that went into this beforehand. So I'm going to, as always, go over the subject site and then the observations of the staff report, and I will let you know which pages correspond to the findings of each section. Most applications just have criteria related to our development code, but this goes because of the comprehensive plan map amendment and then also the zone change. This goes into OARs, ORSs, and statewide planning goals. So it'll be a lot to go over on that front, and then I will let you know staff's recommendation based on our findings and the conditions of approval. So let's get into it. So the subject site is a semi-developed 9.39 acre parcel of land with an existing building, gravel parking lot, and paved private road and landscaping. The building and parking lot is currently used by the Oxbow Mega Transport Solutions, a heavy transport and rigging service for the office space and equipment storage. Alder Creek runs along the northern edge of the site, and South Scappoose Creek runs along the eastern edge of the site. The site does not have direct access to a public right-of-way. However, there are a series of existing access and maintenance easement on the site and adjacent properties that collectively allow access to these parcels from Scappoose-Vernonia Highway. North of the subject site, going from west to east, is a vacant parcel and a mostly vacant parcel with two buildings that used to serve as the Oregon Meat Company site back in the day. East of the subject site is Columbia River Highway. However, the site has no direct access to the highway. South of the subject site, going from west to east, is the Crown Z Trail and the PAD or PAD heavy diesel and commercial tire. South beyond the Crown Z Trail is Scappoose-Vernonia Highway, which the subject site has no direct access to. And then west of the subject site is Dan's Auto Body. The subject site, one of the parcels to the north, the site to the west, and a portion of the Crown Z Trail are zoned light industrial by the city of Scappoose and are designated as industrial on the comprehensive plan map. The other site to the north, east of the other site, is outside of city limits, but within the city's urban growth boundary. It's zoned by Columbia County Light Industrial, which is their code M-2, and is designated as industrial on our comprehensive plan map. The site east is also outside city limits within the UGB and zoned heavy industrial or M1 by Columbia County and is designated industrial on our comprehensive plan map. Portion of the Crown Z Trail and the residential neighborhood to the south of the site are zoned MH for manufactured housing residential and designated as MH on the comprehensive plan map. Part of the applicant's proposal includes a request for a comprehensive plan map amendment and zone change of the subject site. That's why this application will ultimately be going to City Council, is because of those two components. Portions of the subject site are within the special flood hazard area or the 100-year floodplain, the 50-foot wetland buffer, and the 50-foot riparian corridor boundary. There are no steep slopes on the site. Comprehensive plan map amendment zone change. The subject site, as I mentioned, is currently zoned light industrial and designated industrial on our comp plan map. The section that governs light industrial uses allows mini storage facilities with or without a caretaker dwelling, but limits facility sizes to 3 acres, whereas mini storage units in the expanded commercial zone do not have that cap of the facility size. So the applicant desiring to have a facility larger than 3 acres is proposing an amendment to the comprehensive plan to designate the site to commercial, and then subsequently a zone change that would rezone the property from light industrial to expanded commercial. You all have been following the 50-year plan, so you know we're updating our economic opportunities analysis, but our current economic opportunities analysis, or EOA, was adopted in 2011, and that study indicated a need for 269 gross acres, which includes all kinds of things for right-of-ways and utilities, and then also like developable land. 269 acres of industrial land over the 2010 to 2030 planning horizon. There has been a subsequent UGB expansion to address this deficit, and the East Airport annexation was approved in 2017, which brought in 343 acres of land zone public use airport, or PUA, the majority of which has an East Airport employment overlay that is intended to provide sites that can support light industrial uses. Therefore, the city now has a surplus of industrial land given the UGB expansion and annexation, and it's supported by the unadopted EOA that you all have been looking at as part of the 50-year plan that has a planning horizon from 2023 to 2043. This is expected to be adopted in this fall as part of the whole 50-year plan package. According to the 2011 EOA, the city has a 104 gross acre deficit of commercial land that has not been addressed by a UGB expansion since the EOA was adopted. Seeing that there is a surplus of industrial land and a deficit of commercial land, the redesignation from industrial to commercial is consistent with the city's desire to balance various types of economic land need, and we're already have a surplus in industrial. Provided that the comprehensive plan map amendment is approved, the commercial designation would then support the zone change from light industrial to expanded commercial. Both the comprehensive plan map amendment and zone change must be approved in order for the site development review to be approved as proposed, since again, the light industrial zone code currently only allows for mini storages to be 3 acres or less for the whole facility. Site development. The applicant is requesting approval of site development review to allow for construction of a mini storage facility with a caretaker dwelling and an office, as well as improvements to various site amenities like utilities and parking. Assuming the approval of the requested CPMA and ZC, the proposed design meets all site development requirements related to visual clearance, the expanded commercial zoning code, sensitive lands, which we'll go over in a moment, buffering and screening, off-street parking, and utilities as described throughout the staff report. Sensitive lands development. The applicant is proposing the establishment of 3 buildings. Those are buildings A, B, and J, asphalt parking, and 2 stormwater facilities partially within the 100-year floodplain. In order to offset these impacts, the applicant is proposing to comply with all required mitigation measures for floodplain development, which includes constructing all the buildings with materials and methods that are resistant to flood damage, installing watertight underground utility lines, anchoring the buildings to the ground, elevating the structures at least 1 foot above the base flood elevation, and maintaining a cut-fill balance as demonstrated by their cut-fill memorandum. A sensitive lands development permit for flooding has been applied for, and the applicant will be subject to the regulations of 17.84, which is our code for floodplain development. Next up, the applicant is proposing the establishment of a stormwater swale and the installation of various utility lines within the 50-foot wetland buffer. The applicant is proposing to establish a sediment fence around the wetlands for erosion protection. This would occur during construction. And they have applied for a sensitive lands permit for flooding and will be subject to the regulations of 17.85. And then the applicant is proposing the establishment of the stormwater swales within the 50-foot riparian buffer. The applicant took a look at this and completed an analysis indicating that the stormwater swale occupies only 4.4% of the site's total riparian buffer zone. Staff finds this to be minimally intrusive to the riparian buffer zone. It's based on how big their stormwater swales need to be and how much land that takes up. The applicant stated in their narrative that some non-native vegetation will need to be removed to install the stormwater swale and that it will be revegetated with native species in accordance with our code. And then they have applied for a sensitive lands fish and riparian corridor overlay permit as part of this application and will be subject to the regulations of chapter 17.89. Consolidated land use applications. The applicant is requesting approval of 6 land use applications, a comprehensive plan map amendment, zone change, site development review, and then 3 sensitive lands permits for floodplain, wetlands, and fish and riparian corridor overlay. The applicant requested that these applications be processed under one approval and one process. On their own, these application types have 3 different approval authorities, with sensitive lands being reviewed by the planner, site development review being reviewed by the planning commission, and comprehensive plan map amendments and zone change being reviewed by the city council. With the consolidated application, it defaults to the highest approval authority, and so staff wrote the staff report, and you all will review that and make a recommendation to the to the city council. And then the city council will be the final approval authority on the whole application. Approving site development review is a limited land use decision subject to 17.164 and ORS 197.195. Approving the other application types, however, are quasi-judicial decisions subject to chapter 17.162. The consolidated application will be processed as a quasi-judicial decision since it provides more opportunities for public participation, and procedures for quasi-judicial decisions necessitate public hearings, which are not allowed in limited land use decisions. Right-of-way public improvements. The subject site has frontage on but no direct access to Columbia River Highway. Access to the subject site is currently gained indirectly from Scappoose Vernonia Highway. However, as we mentioned, the site has no direct frontage on the street. Instead, visitors enter and exit the site through, across the Crownsea Trail and a portion of a neighboring tax lot, which is tax lot 1800, owned by the Hackenbergs, to the west of the subject site. Since the site has no direct frontage on the highway, the applicant will not be required to perform frontage improvements on Scappoose Vernonia Highway. Although the applicant has frontage on Columbia River Highway, it's incredibly minimal and street improvements are not called for in this section of the highway in the city's transportation system plan. The traffic impact study that the applicant put together also did not recommend any improvements on the highway for this little stretch of frontage. Therefore, the applicant will not be required to perform frontage improvements on Columbia River Highway either. Vehicular access and off-street parking. The applicant is proposing to install a 26-foot wide driveway entrance and drive aisle from Scappoose Vernonia Highway through the Crownsea Trail and tax lot 1800 to the proposed mini storage facility. The applicant will be required by the recommended conditions of approval to establish a reciprocal access easements between the subject site, tax lot 1800, and the Crownsea Trail, which is owned by Columbia County. The applicant is proposing to install a sliding entry gate along the drive aisle past the parking lot for security purposes of the storage units. Section 17.106.030 subsection D sub 3 requires 1 vehicular parking space for every 200 square feet of gross office floor area for a mini storage, and then plus 2 spaces if there's a caretaker residence. The office is proposed to be 500 square feet, and there will be a caretaker residence, which results in a total of 5 parking spaces, which the applicant is proposing to provide, and one of those will be in ADA space. Commercial uses require the provision of 2 bicycle spaces per primary use, or 1 for every 5 required spaces, whichever is greater. Based on vehicular parking requirements, the applicant would need to provide capacity for 2 bicycles. However, the applicant has requested the exemption from this requirement because patrons of storage facilities typically aren't able to carry the kinds of things that you take to a storage unit while riding a bicycle. It'd be pretty impressive if you could, honestly. You take your couch on a bike. And so for this reason, and our code does allow, if a sort of use that doesn't typically have bicycles, or it just doesn't make sense, that the decision makers, so your recommendation to City Council, can waive the requirement for bicycle parking. Traffic generation. The applicant submitted a transportation impact study letter, which includes trip generation estimates, a safety analysis, and various operational analyses. The study projects that the proposed development would generate 76 weekly daily trips, including 5 morning peak hour trips and 7 evening peak hour trips. The applicant's TIS provides an analysis of the Crownsey Trails intersection with the site at the access point. The traffic engineer supports and has deemed adequate what the applicant is proposing in terms of safety mitigation for bikers and runners and hikers that are using the Crownsey Trail and are also crossing the site's access point. Therefore, no additional analysis or offsite mitigations are recommended by this study or staff. As part of the city's 50-year plan long-range planning project, the city is proposing to rezone and redesignate several parcels within the urban growth boundary, including the subject site. The applicant desired to have the redesignation and rezone to their property completed on their timeline, rather than the city's project timeline, which is why these are being brought to you at this time instead of waiting for the city's project to wrap up. As part of the 50-year plan, though, the city completed a transportation planning rule, or TPR analysis, which is required by the state if you're going to change things in your comprehensive plan, for all impacted parcel, including the applicant's subject site. In the study, you'll find it is marked in there as tax lot 2701. And what they were looking at is the impacts based on different comprehensive plan designations and zones. So commercial zoning and land uses tend to generate more trips than industrial zoning and land uses. Our adopted TSP anticipated the subject site to have industrial zoning because it currently has that. And so the TSP's assumption of the trips associated with the site reflects that. To account for this, the TPR analysis recommends enacting a trip cap of 999 daily trips to the site. The TPR analysis, including the trip cap, has been vetted and acknowledged by ODOT as a valid form of mitigation. The applicant has accepted the 999 daily trip cap, and it will be applied in the recommended conditions of approval. Given that the proposed development for the mini storage is anticipated to generate 76 daily trips, the proposed trip cap will not at all inhibit the proposed development. For utilities, there is currently a public 8-inch PVC sewer main in Scappoose-Vernonia Highway. The applicant proposes to connect the new office and caretaker dwellings to the main with a 4-inch PVC lateral. The lateral will connect to the existing manhole on the southern border of tax lot 1800, which is that neighboring site. The applicant is proposing to negotiate and establish a utility easement agreement with impacted property owners for all utility lines that cross property lines and run through multiple properties. For stormwater, the applicant is proposing to install catch basins throughout the site for all to collect stormwater generated, and then it will be conveyed to the new stormwater detention swale to the north of the paved area and another to the southeast of the paved area. Swales are proposed to be 4 feet deep and will treat and detain stormwater generated by the development up to and including a 25-year storm event. There is an existing 8-inch C900 water main in the Scappoose-Vernonia Highway with a perpendicular 2-inch PVC lateral running towards the subject site. From the meter, the applicant is proposing to extend the lateral north and then east to serve the new office and caretaker dwelling. Where the lateral breaks east to serve the proposed development, the applicant has proposed for the line to continue northward to serve another property. However, the City of Scappoose Public Works Director's referral comment and the recommended conditions of approval require that each property be serviced by its own water meter, so this will get fixed during construction document submittal. The applicant is proposing to negotiate and establish a utility easement and agreement like the sewer line going through multiple properties. The proposed commercial use would directly abut a public use, that's the trail to the south. Buffering and screening are required where subject site abuts public uses. And so the applicant is proposing buffering and screening where required to our standards. As mentioned before, there's no frontage on Scappoose-Vernonia Highway, and so they can't plant street trees either. They don't have room to put it in the right of way. It's not their frontage. Let's see. Yeah. The headings on different pages. The City of Scappoose City Manager, Public Works Director, and Chief of Police, the Columbia County Building Official, Public Works Director, and General Services Director, Oregon Department Land Conservation and Development, Oregon Department of Transportation, Department of State Lands, Department of Fish and Wildlife, Scappoose Rural Fire Protection District, and the Columbia River PUD have all been provided an opportunity to review and comment on the proposal. The city engineer works with Lori and I on the staff report, so his comments are incorporated throughout the report. The Columbia River PUD provided a referral comment that they have reviewed the application and have no objection as it was submitted. ODFW provided a referral comment stating that they have reviewed the application and have no objection to its approval as submitted. Additionally, however, they provided the following suggestions from their habitat biologist. Consider adding diversity to the list of native sedges and rushes. Sawbrake, edge, and common spike rush would be good options. Consider adding some pieces of woody debris in the bottom and banks of the swales. A Douglas spirea shrubs could be used in any remaining areas that have bare soil or more hedgerows are desired near the wetlands. The species is most often in wet soils, but is drought tolerant. Since these comments from ODFW were deliberately suggestions, just kind of good to know and not requirements, they are included in the recommendation, they are not included in the recommended conditions of approval, but staff has passed these on to the applicant and they are aware of them. ODOT provided a referral comment stating that they've reviewed the application and have no objection to its approval. Additionally, they provided a few comments of note. The development description includes a caretaker residence. While it would have been appropriate to include a single-family dwelling unit in the CHIP generation, the associated trips would be relatively low and have no impact on the overall conclusions of the memo. ODOT maintains jurisdiction of Lower Columbia River Highway, and ODOT approval shall be required for all proposed mitigation measures to the facility. No mitigation measures have been proposed, and ODOT found that this conclusion appeared to be reasonable based on the development in the area. The traffic impact study has been, for the most part, prepared in accordance with ODOT analysis procedures and methodologies. No further analysis work should be required. The city completed the TPR analysis as part of the 50-year plan in coordination with ODOT prior to the land use review. As part of that review, ODOT vetted and acknowledged the trip cap as a valid way of mitigating the possible increase in trips due to the site potentially being commercially zoned and designated. The Columbia County building official provided a comment stating that all buildings must meet current codes and that the owner must obtain all building, electrical, plumbing, and mechanical permits. These required will be ensured by the recommended conditions of approval. The Columbia County Public Works Department provided a referral comment issuing requirements related to permitting, street improvements, the existing culvert, stormwater management, and the intersection with Crown Z Trail. The applicable requirements have been included in the conditions of approval. The Columbia County General Services Department, which includes their Parks Department for the Crown Z Trail, provided a comment stating that a reciprocal access easement for the site's access through Crown Z Trail, the utility installation and restoration and crosswalk striping will be required. The applicable requirements of their comments have also been included in the conditions of approval. The Scappoose Public Works Director provided a referral comment stating that they have no objection to the application, provided it meets all the applicable criteria. Their comment also issued requirements that the vault for the fire water system be located near the proposed water meter location. Metered service only serve one utility line, and that the force main termination at the downstream manhole meet the applicable standards. All of these requests from the Public Works Director have been put in the conditions of approval. Scappoose Rural Fire Protection District provided a referral comment related to hydrants, access, addressing, and applicable fire code standards that they'll need to follow during development, and all have been put in the conditions of approval. Notice of the application and quasi-judicial hearing was mailed to property owners within 300 feet of the site on June 30th, 2025, posted in the June 27th edition of the Spotlight, and posted on the subject site in accordance with 17.162. As of the date of this report and as of today, the city has not received any written comments on this application. Moving now to the findings of fact. Staff's findings related to Scappoose Municipal Code, Chapter 12.10, Visual Clearance Areas, can be found on pages 15 through 17, and those pages correspond with the packet. Chapter 17.22, amendments to the title, comprehensive plan and maps, pages 17 and 18. Chapter 17.68, expanded commercial, pages 18 and 19. 17.84, sensitive lands flooding, pages 19 through 24. 17.85, sensitive lands wetlands, pages 24 through 27. Chapter 17.89, sensitive lands fish and riparian corridor overlay, pages 27 through 29. 17.100, landscaping, screening, and fencing, pages 29 through 33. Chapter 17.106, off-street parking loading requirements, pages 33 through 43. 17.120, site development review, pages 43 through 50. 17.154, street and utility improvement standards, pages 50 through 54. Chapter 17.162, procedures for quasi-judicial decision-making, pages 55 through 58. Then moving into comprehensive plan, policies for economics, pages 58 through 60. Policies for the commercial land use designation, pages 61 and 62. Going to the OARs, Oregon Administrative Rules for Application, 61 and 62. That can't be right. They're not all on the same one, but they're the corresponding ones after that. OAR 660, 0120060, Plan and Land Use Regulation Amendments, 6263. And then Oregon Statewide Planning Goals, pages 63 through 65. With all the findings to those criteria and the information provided by the applicant, staff is recommending an approval of the consolidated application. So this would be you all making a recommendation to the city council on the approval or denial of this application. At this time, staff can take any questions that the commissioners have before we get into the applicant's presentation.
Who wants to go first?
I have a couple of questions. On page 21, it's 17.84.040 permitted uses. B4 says that minimal ground disturbance, but no landform alterations, and that's addressed in the findings of fact
Mhm.
regarding just the paving. So how does that cover change, like adding cut and fill to raise the buildings up 1 feet,
Yeah.
1 foot over the base flood elevation?
Yeah. Lori, would you mind going into that one?
Hi, yes. Good evening, everyone. We do have, thank you for the question, by the way. We do have also another area that does permit fill to occur if there is a cut fill balance. That can be found in section 17.84.170. And so again, if essentially this is allowing for development in the floodplain, fill can be placed on the site as long as there is that cut fill balance. So we don't see a conflict with that here. I don't know, Chris, if you had anything else you wanted to add to that.
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay.
Thank you. My other question, sort of regarding the, I guess, the Scappoose code, and if when we say like the materials need to be flood resistant, what is the governing body, or where do they go to find that information, or like is it FEMA that's determining that?
Yeah. Lori, I'll let you take that one again.
Yep. Commissioner Allers, that's going to be the building official. The floodplain requirements are also contained within the building codes as well. And so when he does his review for the construction documents, he will be checking for that.
Thank you.
I was curious why we didn't see elevations on this. We usually do see them. Elevations for the buildings.
Do you mean like elevation certificates?
No, like, view of the building from the side.
Oh, I see.
I mean, I can pretty much imagine what a storage unit's gonna look like, but
Right.
I normally see them and didn't see them here.
Yeah, what they provided in their narrative was the maximum building height, which would be the kind of thing that we would be looking at an elevation for, and that it's far below the maximum 60 feet in the expanding commercial zone.
Okay. Any other questions of staff at this time? Then I believe we can have the applicant's presentation, please.
Matt Alexander with Lower Columbia Engineering. This is Adam Austin, the owner.
Yep.
Well, I think
Okay. Can I ask you guys to really speak into the mic so it's clear on the record,
Yeah.
please? Thank you.
I was going to say I think NJ has done a pretty good job of going over the code sections. If you couldn't tell from the size of this application, this is not an easy property to develop. There are two separate creeks crossing it with their associated riparian setbacks, two separate wetlands with their associated setbacks. And so it ends up making this 9+ acre property basically has about 4 acres of developable area. Adam, originally we looked at at potentially doing something that would fit within the current zoning. But Adam has hired a feasibility person who only looks at studying storage facilities, right? And she basically determined that the 3 acres would not be enough to make a profitable business for storage. Or else we may have looked at that option. But when we brought this to the city, they had told us that they're already looking with their new economic opportunities analysis at adjusting the site and getting more commercial area. So we felt it was a bit of a slam dunk for that property, at least, especially given, I don't know if you've driven by it, but it's not the prettiest site right now. I think even though this is a storage facility, which you don't normally think of as being super aesthetically pleasing, it'll still be quite an upgrade over what is there now. It's currently covered with asphalt, gravel, and kind of spotty patches of grass with a building that must be at least 50 years old. So with the new buildings, as well as the screening, buffering, fences, I think it's going to help shield some of the property from view along Scappoose-Vernonia Highway. The added improvements to the driveway, I think, is actually going to make the crossing for people walking or biking along the trail a lot safer. We're adding signage, crosswalk, in addition to whatever's already there. I think there's some bollards. Other than that,
so for me, coming up with this development in the first place, we were looking around for somewhere within the area to possibly get going on. And there's not a lot of possibilities for any larger complex like this. I started with asking the question of what are the needs of the area for this, and we looked here, Hillsborough, all the way up Highway 30 corridor, all the way to the coast, and the feasibility study. So third party doesn't have a dog in the fight. Came back with Scappoose. It's the most need for storage in this area. It's a growing community. They have a couple guidelines that they follow that she told me. She does 120 feasibility studies a year in this exact thing. At the end of it, this community is looked at growing. It's got a need. The amount of storage. So I saw a couple other buildings here, and immediately I'm like, oh, do we need more storage here? It came back with a resounding yes. This area still needs more storage, and to the point where we picked this as the spot to do it. There isn't a ton of choices though for getting this in. Not very many properties fit, and we started looking at this piece of property, knowing that it was going to be a very tough development. There was a lot of hurdles to get over, and we knew we were going to have to move the zoning. We couldn't quite get enough square footage to be able to exactly that, make it profitable at the end. So I do recognize that everybody has put a lot of effort into this. I really thank the development folks here, the city of Scappoose, and everybody's really come together to try to get this project pushed through. So. Any questions for me? I can answer stuff correctly. I'll just ramp.
I have a question. How many units are within the buildings? Like how many units overall?
It looks like just under 400, I think, right in there.
yeah, it's around 400.
We have moved this thing up and down many times, so that's why I don't have the exact number. We've had to make some concessions to add aisle swells. Fire department has come in and wanted aisleways bigger. We've had to get fire hydrants in, different landscaping plans. So we've changed the building design 5 times. Just trying to get units to to fit everybody, making deals. So,
Is it just material items or there RV storage, boat storage?
there will be boat storage in there, units for all kinds of different vehicles. I'm trying to think. We have some units as long as 40 feet long. We do have some high door stuff. We do have, and this was all picked by the same person who does that feasibility study.
Mhm.
She recommended what the needs are of this area and the
Yeah.
community. So we went exactly down her guidelines.
Sounds right.
We did have a couple changes in there where we came in and some rules or regulations had changed our thing. We went back to her with those and said, this is now our envelope size. And she says, okay, go to these or these. And she says mainly larger stuff in this area. That's what there's no storage for. So I think the direct impact to the people may see to the larger stuff will get stored here. A lot of that, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's got to be 30% of very large items. So whatever that ends up to be.
Thanks. Thank you.
And just to answer your earlier question about the elevations,
Mhm.
these are going to be pre-engineered metal buildings with standing seam metal roofs, metal siding, pretty much what you normally see with gable roofs.
Okay. The RVs and stuff, am I correct in assuming that's all inside the units, not
Yes.
external? Okay.
I had a question about the anchoring. Obviously, you're going to anchor the buildings, but like the things that are inside of the building, how does that come into consideration of
In terms of like,
that on the metal building and pushing,
in terms
lifting
of the
up.
flooding, you mean?
Yeah, if it did flood.
Yeah,
They can't go anywhere. They're in a
yeah.
contained capsule at that point. I have seen the initial, so we've been working with the metal building fabricators. And, there's, I don't know, those tie downs.
Hold
but
downs.
Yeah, they've got hold downs and we're already, I know looking at that on the foundation details. The different ways. So we're still waiting on the engineer to show us with all that.
Mhm.
These things are fairly well built. They're fully steel framed. So, and I don't know how they're going to connect yet. I don't know if they bolt to the floor, but everything's going to be tied down. I know we're going to have
They'll
a
be
bunch of
bolted.
stuff in the foundation. So the stuff is hooked all the way down.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
There's plenty of pages here with information I don't, I would have a difficult time, I think, trying to have a question. Everything is so self-explanatory. No, I don't have any, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
At this time, I'd like to ask if there's anybody who would like to speak in favor of this application. Seeing none, is there anybody who would like to speak in opposition? Being there's no opposition comments, I'm going to assume no rebuttal is necessary. I just want to make sure you had the opportunity. Any staff response to the lack of comment?
No, I mean, there obviously are a lot of applications in this one, but we as staff feel that each one is pretty straightforward and they've done everything to meet the criteria.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to close the hearing and we will discuss amongst ourselves. Okay.
Like I said, it's pretty self-explanatory, all this that's in here. I mean, every single word.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough to try to find fault, I guess.
Yeah.
Everything is, any issue that's come up looks like it's been addressed, at least
Yeah.
from what I can see here.
I I think, you know, like all the criteria has been addressed, so anything I can comment on is handled. So there's not a whole lot. You know, it's all been addressed, so I don't have any particular, you know, comments. If that's, you know, it, then I will entertain a motion to approve, and you want to read the,
And I would recommend approve.
yeah, recommend it. So recommend approval to the city council and just the bold line of 5.2. That whole mouthful. So I would entertain that motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve CPMA 1-25 ZC 1, or I'm sorry, I'm going to make a motion to recommend approval to council of CPMA 1-25 ZC 1-25 SDR 1-25 SLDP 1-25 2.2-25 3-25 Ofstad self-storage.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, recommendation is getting sent to the commission. With that, you're all welcome to stay for the exceedingly exciting communications and adjournment portions of the meeting. You're not required to.
Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, you could store that stuff there.
Very difficult with all the different pieces to this.
Yeah.
There's just so many. It's not real use, at least from what I can recall. I don't know if I've seen too many of these applications with so many pieces to it like this.
No,
They're
this is, they're hitting kind of all the different things that need a separate
Yeah.
application, but
Yeah, so
like they
basically it's
said,
just all rolled into one,
with
but
it consolidated, the way they did it, like they just,
yeah, well.
It's a lot of-
Like I said, everything's been addressed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's every question. has
all
been
right. Okay,
answered, I guess.
well, let's bring us back here. We're going to continue with our calendar check. Scappoose Farmers Market this Saturday. Thursday, the 17th, Economic Development Committee meets at noon. Saturday, the 19th, the Farmers Market. Monday, the 21st, council work session at 6 and city council meeting at 7. Planning commission meeting on the 24th. Is that
That's a go.
okay? Scappoose Farmers Market on the 26th. And moving into August 2nd, on Saturday the 2nd, the Farmers Market. August 4, City Council at 7. August 9, Scappoose Farmers Market. August 16, Scappoose Farmers Market. Monday, August 18, City Council meeting at 7. No work session.
There should be a work session on there. There will be one for the 50-year plan that you all are part of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thursday, the 21st of August, Economic Development Committee at noon. Scappoose Farmers Market, Saturday, the 23rd. And Planning Commission meeting on Thursday, the 28th of August. Is that looking good?
That's a maybe.
Okay.
There's not a particular application tied. We just know there won't be one on August 14th.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Scappoose Farmers Market on the 30th.
So I keep saying the 18th for potential here.
Yeah, I think
That is scheduled, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the August 18th at 6 PM.
okay. I'm assuming we'll get an email about that sometime in, okay, near future. Commissioner comments. Thanks for making it easy. It's a lot of work that goes into it.
You guys have really outdone yourselves on this one. It's really very.
There's a lot to this one.
There
Yeah.
a whole lot.
Thank you.
Done a good job.
Yeah. Any other commissioner comments? Okay. Staff comments.
All right, thank you. So with your recommendation tonight, the city council will hear this. It'll be a first reading and public hearing on August 4th, and then second reading and then vote on the ordinance on August 18th. So those are now scheduled. Just going into some planning updates of things that you could expect to see in the coming months. We held a pre-application conference for a food cart pod. This would support 6 food carts. It's right behind the post office on the other side of West First Street. We also held a pre-application conference, or excuse me, will hold a pre-application conference for an annexation and partition for property on East Columbia out a ways. We have 2 applications in completeness review right now. One of them is the Maple Street Townhomes, which was formerly the Maple Street Cottages that you all might remember if you were on the commission in 2019. And so they have redone their design and are proposing 14 townhomes. And so it'll be a nice connection between Maple Street and 6th Court. So that'll be really nice.
And where is this again? I'm sorry.
This is at the terminus of Maple Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, on the far east end of Maple.
oh, good. Okay.
And the Thompson Woods subdivision, that portion of 6th Court is going to extend northward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's see, and then the other one I was getting confused with is the Elm Street annexation and partition, which is between 8th and 9th Street on the east side of town. Everything around it is in city limit. It's all urban development, and so just bringing that in will be really good. They want to connect to water and sewer, so that's 2 properties, and one of them wants to partition into, so 3 total lots. We have deemed complete and will be the topic of next planning commission meeting on July 24th, the Psychic Sanctuary. That's a home occupation for psychic services, but needs planning commission approval because they want customers to be able to come to the home and receive those services. So that will be the topic of July 24th. We recently approved the Grace Christian Children's Center classroom. And so that will be 2 classrooms in an auxiliary building on the Grace Lutheran Church site. Should be able to accommodate up to 30 students for daily childcare, which is really big for the community. And then ongoing building permit site plan review for Dutch Canyon Phase 4 out on Callahan Road. 50-year plan, we've mentioned it a little bit. The primary work group, the Stakeholder Advisory Committee for that project, held their last meeting on May 20th, a couple months ago. And then coming up, Lori and our consultant team will be hosting a informal kind of town hall meeting with landowners that are impacted by particularly the UGB expansion and urban reserve establishment. So getting them in, getting them familiar with the process so that there's, they have an understanding of it when it comes time for adoption, and to get their questions and concerns addressed ahead of time. So we sent out 257 notices for that today. So hopefully we get a good turnout. And then, as we mentioned, a work session on August 18th with Planning Commission and City Council. And then presumably after that, we will kind of retool based on those comments and then start looking towards adoption both locally and at the county level. Lori, would you like to add anything for planning?
Let's see. First of all, great job on the staff report, NJ. He did this one himself. So very good job.
Thank you.
Secondly, The only thing I wanted to add to what NJ's already shared is I've just been working diligently on 2 grant applications. They're both part of TGM grant, Transportation and Growth Management. It's a joint effort between ODOT and DLCD. So one would be to fund a downtown strategic plan, which is one of council's goals this year, and also a priority for the Economic Development Committee. And then the other grant would fund an update to our 2016 transportation system plan. Although it seems it's not that old, there have been significant changes and projects completed in the city. Also, we're looking at a UGB expansion of 44 acres for housing. So it is time to do an update to that plan. So hopefully we get funding for that. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
I have a couple of questions. Update status, I guess.
Yeah.
On 2 different projects. One, the Keys Road work that's going on up the hill on the Huser site. And then also what's going on across the park, the Veterans Park there in that area with those homes. What's the status on both of those? Do we know?
Yeah, so those are 3 separate projects. There's the reservoir. Keys Reservoir project, or 3 million gallon reservoir that's new on Keys.
Well, I've been seeing the trucks going back and forth, and then there was something, I think, on Facebook about it, and that's why I was just curious on the reservoir piece. But also the other thing I was wondering about was the building of the homes and stuff.
Yeah, and then the other project on Keys is the user subdivision.
Yeah, that was,
Betty User there. And that just got underway a few weeks ago. With the utility work. So they stripped the site last year.
okay.
Until this year. And so they're putting in the storm and they'll start with that and sewer system. Water system.
Okay.
Roads.
And what about the other piece across from the park, the Veterans Park?
And then that's the Buxton subdivision.
Yeah, the Buxton subdivision.
on west.
Right.
And they're prepping that to start construction in, weeks.
Okay.
They haven't
I've
got
seen,
their-
like I said, I've seen a lot of trucks going back and
Yeah.
forth up on JP West as well as over there, on the other side of Keys Road.
And you see trucks kind of going between the 2 projects within the same contract.
Oh, okay.
And they're sharing soil.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
So it's just kind of nice because you don't have, crews that are
Mhm.
sort of different.
Yeah.
Right now, they're able to, when things slow down on one, they have the ability to move soil that's not needed on one directly to another without trucking it halfway across the city.
But when you're using both of those roads, which are pretty commonly used now, and there's a lot more traffic generally on them. And particularly, I live on 4th Street, so there's a lot of traffic going between those 2 roads, by the curve there.
Oh, yeah, there's gonna be some more truck traffic, city,
Yeah.
dump trucks.
What's the status on this, the hole in the, on 4th Street there in front of by the curve, between JP West and,
They submitted building permits for 3 duplexes, and so we're reviewing those and their construction plans for street improvements. And then they also will need to record their partition plat to get the 3 lots actually separated.
Okay.
They have their preliminary approval for that, but they need to record it,
okay.
for it to be final.
And then one final one,
Yeah.
on 4th Street there, the hole in the road, that there's been a problem.
Where exactly?
Pardon me?
Southwest.
There's a hole in the road.
On 4th Street,
And
right.
what cross street?
between JP West and, what's the other one at the end there?
So it's JP West and Ford.
No, it's on 4th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not.
Okay,
familiar.
I'm talking about, over the curve there. There's a house for sale right now on the corner there. That's the curve that goes around there from 4th. I don't know how else to describe it.
Is it, so it's a defect in the asphalt? Is that what you're
Yeah,
asking?
There's a, yeah.
Oh,
It's been-
yeah.
It's been a problem for a long time. And there's a lot of the big vehicles that go by there quite a bit, and it just seems to, it's almost like there's a sinkhole or something under there. And they were putting out the notices about, you know, the utility lines and stuff like that. And I was talking to the guy that was putting those out, and I asked him, you know, what was going on with that, and he said it was the city that was dealing with that, and I didn't know.
Yeah, that's not a developer or city project that I'm aware of. So
We
I'm,
talked about it, we talked about it here a couple different times. So that's ways. Anyway, I was just wondering
I'm
what's
not-
going on with that
not
because
sure.
it-
I'll
it's-
Let us look into that and send you something.
Yeah,
I'll
it's-
give you an update.
so when you're going down JP West, you know, you're coming down, make a right on 4th Street. It's right, it's just second house in.
okay. It's on 4th, just south of JP West, or south of JP West or north of JP West? North, you take a right and then you go north towards the park.
Yeah, if you're going towards the park, you have to make a left on 4th to find the hole. If you're going going across the bridge, if you're gonna go across the bridge, 4th Street is the last street. If you turn left there, there's a hole in the road.
Oh, it could be the developer for the project that NJ just spoke about, the duplex project. They're looking for utilities. That's probably what it is.
No, they had, the guy that was doing the tag, he put all of the flags out on the road, or on the roadside, on people's property, because he was trying to gauge where the utility lines were.
Oh, right. So they're doing utility locates.
I have no idea.
Yeah, so that's all related to that duplex project.
But the duplex is across JP West from where I'm talking about.
Well, it could be that they're tracking down lines that run in that area in
But
support of
that
the,
wouldn't have anything to do with the hole in the road.
well, it could be that they're, I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't make.
Lori, I see you have your hand raised. Do you want to enlighten us?
No,
Sorry.
I don't know what the hole is a result of, but I was just tracking what Rita was saying, which is that you would, if you were going towards the park on JP West, you would turn left on 4th. So I don't think it has anything to do with the Gillen partition and the duplexes. It sounds like there's something else going on that we might want to look into and check out. I'm not aware of what's causing the hole.
Yeah, Rita, let us go look at that tomorrow, and then we'll follow
Okay,
up with you.
If you're gonna go toward the park from Highway 30, just turn left on 4th.
Okay.
And you can't miss, it's in the middle of the road, and they had pieced it before, but there's still like a hole in it. And it
Okay.
keeps making, there's just a lot of racket, especially when the big trucks go by.
Okay. Well,
'Cause
thank
they-
you for letting us know.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
I'll
yeah,
check it
maybe.
out. I'll check it out tomorrow. It could be that there's always little defects in these old roads and,
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, I
Yeah.
just wanted to know if you guys had some status on it, because I was just kind of curious. I see the trucks, you know, especially now since they're doing up on, those other 2 projects, there's more trucks. And so they're going down between 4th and around 4th there.
yeah, they shouldn't actually be using 4th Street,
There you,
but maybe some of them are, yeah.
they might be using it to avoid going out to the highway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I haven't heard that they're doing that, but this is the first I've heard of
Yeah.
that, but
But
It
you guys
would
are going to
be-
take a look at it.
yeah, we'll go
Yeah,
look
I'm
at
sorry
it.
to take so much time. I didn't.
No,
No,
I
that's
appreciate
fine.
you letting us know.
Yeah, it's fine.
Thank you.
Okay. Were there any other staff comments?
I mean, I can give you an update on some of the other projects we have going on if you want. It's a bit of a list, but I can just mention them if you want. I'll just
Why
read the
don't
titles.
you just give us the highlights?
Northwest Waterline Project, we're doing a water line upgrades on the northwest part of Scappoose. It's a pretty major project for us. That's in design. We talked about Huser, we talked about Buxton. Like I said, we're just wrapping up the plans on Buxton to get those approved here over the next 2-3 weeks. Dutch Canyon Phase 4 on Callahan. They're building homes over there. We've been approving the plans in batches, so you'll see homes being built. All of the heavy earthwork is done. This is sort of in random order here. Moore Road, which is south of the airport, we've wrapped that up. We're doing a punch list. We're going to wrap up the punch list next week. It's essentially done except for some lighting and some franchise utility work. Let's see. Mentioned Grace, the children's center there, Grace Lutheran. We're working with the house on the corner of JP West and First. It's called the Casey House. I think that's the new it's Leah Chitwood's office there. They've got essentially have plan approval. We're waiting on some permit documents to get that finalized so they can actually start. Talked about the partition project, the Gillum partition project. That's getting underway. We're still waiting on a bond for that, and then we'll issue the right-of-way permit, and then they'll get started on that. We also have, let's see, we're working with the dealers market. They want to do some site improvements on dealers market. We're working with them on some plans. We've got Habitat for Humanity on Myrtle and Oak. We're working with them to get their plans wrapped up, just some final plan revisions. And then we're working with ODOT on sidewalk improvements on Maple Street near the highway, from the highway to Northeast First, just one block. We've been doing that for a few years. You won't see any activity for a couple of years, but we're doing the design work now, or they are. We're kind of keeping an eye on it. And then finally with ODOT, we've been working with them over the last, I don't know, 9 years on some a right-of-way vacation process on Northeast First from East Columbia north to Williams. They are going to vacate, I think, about 30 feet of right-of-way. So that's exciting news. And then we'll have that we can develop a full-size road there on First Street.
Okay.
And develop on-street parking.
Yeah.
So it'll be good, and sidewalks.
Wow.
So you'll be able to walk on a sidewalk to our office someday, hopefully. Those are the highlights.
You guys have earned a sidewalk.
We require them all over. We don't get one.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all of our comments. And so all that remains is to adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for your patience, you guys. I'm sorry. I wasn't more clear about what I was
The
asking.
the point of asking for questions is we want questions.
Well, you got one.
And Rita, at any time you can go, if something catches your eye that you don't, think is right, you can get on our website under the police, and there's a traffic complaint form. And you can kind of report anything, it doesn't have to be like traffic issue.
There was one gentleman from the road department that I remember sitting over there the last meeting that we had. And
Yeah.
he was talking about that particular problem with that road.
And he was from
It was
from
the-
Public Works. Oh,
And that's why I was asking you, what's the status,
they oftentimes have little patches that they're going to do around the city. And they don't get me involved in that because it's not a permitting thing. It's just,
Well, they've been patching it for years. I've lived in that house for 45 years and it's right in the front of my house.
oh,
So and that, it's there. It's very, very noisy because especially when those big trucks keep coming through there.
yeah.
And then some kid rides a motorcycle and all that stuff, which is like everywhere. But anyway, yeah, I was just kind of wondering what's going on with it because it's almost like there's a sinkhole and there's a water leakage or something under there.
Well, sometimes we those have old water lines, which is one other reason why we're replacing the ones in the north west part of town. And if they leak a little bit, it's hard for us to know when they're leaking because our soil is so pervious, it just goes down.
And that's kind of what it looks like.
And then when it does that, it takes the soil with it and it kind of consolidates it and it washes out the soil.
And it's
and it
not
creates a bit
little
of a
little patch.
Yeah.
It's huge.
So we may have a water leak
Yeah, and that's what I was
that
wondering
we need
about.
to dig it up, repair the water, then go back and fix the road. So,
Well, anyway,
yeah, I don't get involved in maintenance, activities very often,
yeah.
like minor ones like that. So they're probably well aware of it. If any of you do see a problem, it's quite acceptable.
It's the
Go on our
older
website.
area, and they're all the houses and everything.
The
on
meeting
there.
is adjourned for anybody else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we're not.
Yeah.
adjourned,
I'm
so-
sorry, we're
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can-
it stopped when I said we're adjourned.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you can strike my